Khanyisa is weaned. Sunshine, Khanyisa, arrived in January 2020, a full 5 years ago, the year of COVID, the year that nobody suspected that we would spend months in our contained areas, wearing masks, participating in a surreal lifestyle, and being vaccinated in 2020. For many, it was like being a prisoner. Some had a partner in a prison, and some were on their own. But one thing everyone shared was time to think, to rethink, and to reevaluate. Zoom, Teams, WhatsApps, and FaceTimes were the new norm, we said. No interaction. We didn't dare to breathe in case COVID was breathed over through by us. The norm was to stay in your pajamas, pull a comb through your hair and put some red lips on for a meeting, and to share a screen with faces behind the screen, to stare at the screen. And if you really didn't feel like it, you just didn't switch on your screen. Faceless, touchless, cold. But Khanyisa's body was warm. Her personality was sunshine. She was the sunshine in 2020. But Khanyisa stepped up to her name and shone on everyone who wanted to hear her story. Her story was not easy always. No elephant orphan story is easy, by the way. But Khanyisa was also freedom. Freedom to the outside world in terms of nature. She wasn't contained. Sometimes, when she didn't drink or had fever with teething, was weak, wounds that needed attention, she was restricted to the orphanage. But she had Lummy, the carers, and the elephant herd just next door. Her story shared became a life channel for many. She was sunshine. 5 years later, after many stories, many laughs, many tears, plenty moments, plenty love, many bottles, it came to have her last bottles. She started weaning herself a while ago, as she stopped coming for bottles after the rain, exactly as I wished for, actually. My mum always said it's cruel to be kind, something I try to bring into my life, but I do battle. For the past 6 months, I knew I had to wean Khanyisa. I reduced the amount of milk, but kept the milk bottles. I told Kensani to stop with her 10 a.m. bottle as it was too hot. Then I asked her to stop sending the 2 p.m. bottle. The morning and the afternoon bottles were left. The 6 a.m. and the 6 p.m. we kept. I stopped her bottles before we went to the stables. I gave her her last one, beginning of January, but couldn't see the next day when there was no bottle waiting. I knew she'd be fine, as she didn't run to her bottles anymore, waiting for her at the homestead. But a week later, when we walked back to the stable side by side, it was as if she expected the bottle again, as I was there. She tripled around, but then we walked into the homestead, to her stable, and I turned around and moved out. I wiped a tear. I realized it was emptiness syndrome. Something I faced the last 3 years when Zander left to start his new life in KwaZulu-Natal as a veterinarian. And then Lenta got married after her graduation last year and moved also to KwaZulu-Natal with a lovely husband. Well, I gained another son by my son-in-law, but I lost him in the same time. Now it was Khanyisa whom is getting weaned. I gave her last bottle 2 days after the evening bottle stopped. Well, she wasn't really weaned, as I never told Kensani to stop with the milk bottles. She stayed on her morning bottles. The carers all laughed at me when I told them 2 weeks later that I am weaning Khanyisa today. Ha, they said, you weaning her? And so I gave her once again her last, final bottle. This time it was for real. Now it was for real. No more bottles. No more smell of milk on me during the day. We have freedom and can travel without restriction. It's not COVID that restricts me, but I felt redundant. I gave my all, and now she's fine with the rest of the herd. Just as we searched for purpose 5 years ago, the cycle repeats itself. Ups and downs. When we are together, the bond is still there. Khanyisa and I will always have our bond. But she doesn't need me anymore. And just for now, I'm looking for my new purpose.